Some commentators confirm this view. For example, in the preamble to Bhoja's Yoga Sutra Rajamartanda, we find a reference to a saying of Patanjali not found in the Patanjala Yoga Shastra, but which clearly defines yoga as the disjunction of Purusha and Prakriti. Others disagree. Another commentator on the Patanjala Yoga Shastra, Vijnana Bhikshu, argues in his Yoga Sara Samgraha that aloneness, Kaivalya, the end goal of the Patanjala Yoga Shastra's Samkhya Yoga, is the same as the goal of Vedanta, which he describes as non-separation, avibhaga, of the individual self, Jivatman, and the Supreme Self, Paramatman. The Ishvara Gita, 1-2-4, presents two forms of yoga, a non-being yoga, Abhava Yoga, suggestive of the Patanjala Yoga Shastra, in which one's own form is meditated upon as being empty, and the superior great yoga, Maha Yoga, in which the yogi focuses on and unites with God. In this model, Patanjali's yoga functions as a preliminary to practices leading to union with the deity. Elsewhere, yoga is identified with equanimity and skill in action, Bhagavad Gita 1.1.2, the condition of nirvana, Linga Purana 1.1.8, a pleasure and pain-free state, Vaisheshika Sutra 1.1.7, and so on. Also common in early texts is the association of yoga with power, bala, such as in the Mahabharata 1.1.3, where Samkhya is said to be unequalled knowledge and yoga to be unequalled power, and in the Skanda Purana 72.15, where Shiva tells Parvati that her son will be endowed with the great power of yoga, Maha Yoga Bala. Doctrinal variation notwithstanding, all of these definitions point to an understanding of yoga as a state, the attainment of which is the goal of the practices associated with it. This meaning of yoga as a goal is by far the more common, although we do find references to the practice of yoga, yoga-bhyasa, and injunctions to practice yoga, in which yoga must indicate the means rather than the end. In the Goraksha Shataka, for example, we heard, "Through practicing yoga I have become sick," 69, and the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra says, "Not practicing yoga gets one nowhere. One should make every effort to practice nothing but yoga," 106. An exceptional definition of yoga as means is found in the circa 2nd century CE Buddhist Yogacara Bhumi, 114. In some texts, the two senses, yoga as means and yoga as goal, exist side by side. The Parakya Tantra, for instance, states that yoga arises from the attainment of samadhi, or it is in the practice of yoga itself, 1110. A definition which appears to understand yoga as indicative of both method and goal, with the latter contained within and arising from the former. In Patanjala Yoga Shastra Vivarana 1.1.1.1.13, yoga is defined as both the goal and the means, upaya, for achieving discriminative knowledge, viveka khyati, and supernatural powers. This dual usage raises similar issues with regard to compound terms such as Hatha Yoga, which might be translated as either the state of yoga achieved by means of force, Hatha, or the forceful yoga practice. Given the predominance in the texts of yoga as goal rather than method, it makes sense to favor the first translation, in which case we would not be dealing with a kind of yoga called Hatha, but with methods known collectively as Hatha that lead to the goal called yoga. The situation is complicated further when we consider a text such as the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches a panoply of yogas, or means to yoga, such as karma yoga, yoga of or by actions, atmasamyama yoga, yoga of, by, self-restraint, bhakti yoga, yoga of, by devotion, and abhyasa yoga, yoga of, by repeated practice. That the Bhagavad Gita, like the Parakya Tantra, sometimes takes yoga to indicate method and goal is clear from, for example, its description of buddhi yoga, yoga of or by means of the